Fiorello is a musical about New York City Mayor Fiorello H. LaGuardia, a reform Republican who took on the Tammany Hall political machine. The book is by Jerome Weidman and George Abbott, drawn substantially from the 1955 volume Life with Fiorello by Ernest Cuneo, with lyrics by Sheldon Harnick, and music by Jerry Bock. It is one of only 8 musicals to win the Pulitzer Prize for Drama. Productions. Fiorello opened on Broadway at the Broadhurst Theatre on November 23, 1959, moved to the Broadway Theatre on May 9, 1961, and closed on October 28, 1961. After 795 performances, it was directed by George Abbott with choreography by Peter Gennaro. Tom Bosley originated the title role opposite Howard Da Silva as the Republican machine boss Ben Moreno. The cast featured Ellen Hanley as Thea, Pat Stanley as Dora, Patricia Wilson as Marie, Nathaniel Frey as Morris, and Broadway's future Superman, Bob Holliday, as Neil. The 1962 production opened at the New York City Center on June 13, and closed after 16 performances, on June 24, 1962. The show was directed by John Dalrymple, staged by Dania Krupska, choreography by Kevin Carlisle, scenery and lighting design by William and John Eckert, costume supervision by Joseph Kodaray, musically directed by Jay Blackton, and press by Lillian Libman. The cast included Sorrel Book, Art Lund, Lola Fisher, Dodie Goodman, Barbara Williams, Paul Lipson, Richard France, Dort Clark, and Helen Verbit. One of the singing ensemble included Rosalind Cash. A concert production of Fiorello was performed at the First Encores at the New York City Center Concert Series in February 1994. Directed by Walter Bobby, the cast featured Jerry Zaks as LaGuardia, Philip Bosco as Ben Moreno, Faith Prince as Marie, and Elizabeth Futrell as Thea. To celebrate the 20th season of the series, Fiorello had another revival run at New York City Center starting in late January of 2013. This time, the play was directed by Gary Griffin with choreography by Alex Sanchez and starred Danny Rutagliano as LaGuardia, Shula Hensley as Marino, Erin Dilly as Marie, and Kate Baldwin as Thea. The production included a new Bock-Harnick song during Act 2, as part of the Names LaGuardia reprise. Synopsis. The story follows the life of Fiorello H. LaGuardia during World War I and 10 years later. As mayor of New York City, LaGuardia reforms city politics by helping end Tammany Hall's vaunted political machine. Act 1. Mayor Fiorello H. LaGuardia is reading the comics over the radio because there is a newspaper strike. As he does so, the time changes to 1915 and the law office where clients are eagerly waiting to speak to LaGuardia. His law clerks assure the crowd that he will help one and all, regardless of their ability to pay. Fiorello's secretary Marie and her friend Dora discuss a crisis. Thea Almerigati, the leader of the Women's Shirtwaist Strikers, has been arrested. LaGuardia promises to help the strikers. As the district leader Ben and his political buddies play poker, Marie introduces LaGuardia as a potential congressional candidate. They want to beat the corrupt machine of Tammany Hall. While helping the women strikers, Fiorello asks Marie to dinner, but Thea, newly released from prison, arrives. She asks Fiorello to dinner to plan strategy, and he breaks his date with Marie. Marie feels foolish for caring while he cares so little. Next year Fiorello is campaigning for Congress and Thea introduces him. Fiorello promises to break the stranglehold of Tammany Hall. LaGuardia wins the election. In another year, LaGuardia enlists in the Air Force and proposes to Thea. He and Marie say their farewells as he is about to leave for the war. LaGuardia's participation in the war is presented as a series of montages, staged and on film. With the war over, Fiorello returns home, with both Marie and Thea waiting for him. He goes to Thea, who has agreed to marriage. Morris, the office manager, comforts Marie. Act 2. In 1929, LaGuardia runs for mayor of New York, after he and Thea are married. Thea, home from a visit to the doctor, exclaims her love at Dora and her husband Floyd's home. The corrupt backers of Fiorello's competitor for mayor, Jimmy Walker, meet. As one of the gang wants to have Fiorello killed at his public speech, Dora rushes to secretly warn Marie. However, Fiorello's campaign is in turmoil, with Ben being fired and his worry over Thea's deteriorating health. At LaGuardia's speech, the gang's plan to kill him is foiled, but Thea dies, and Marie, Morris, and Neil have to tell Fiorello. The race for mayor is won by Jimmy Walker. Fiorello is inspired by tragedy to continue his campaign. In 1933, Ben and his political friends are again playing poker. Marie arrives and announces that she is quitting her job and will marry the very next man who asks her. She convinces Ben to return to Fiorello to help him win the upcoming mayoral election. She then helps Fiorello to overcome his fears of losing and run again. He runs with Ben's help, and also asks Marie to marry him. She accepts and Fiorello finally becomes the mayor. Background and analysis. The musical contains several songs built around a group of machine politicians. In Politics and Poker, Republican machine politicians try to pick a congressional candidate in a district they consider hopeless, while playing a game of poker, and compare politics to poker. The lyric is set to waltz tempo to underscore the frivolity of their cynicism. In The Bum One, these same politicians commiserate with one another after LaGuardia has won the election without their support. In Little Tin Box, they imagine a series of Tammany politicians attempting to explain to a judge that their wealth came from their scrupulous habits of saving. In I Love a Cop, woman factory worker describes her hapless situation of having fallen in love with a policeman who was called out against a strike by her union. The names LaGuardia has LaGuardia campaigning in English, Italian and Yiddish. There is also a ragtime number, Gentleman Jimmy, about bon vivant Mayor James J. Jimmy Walker, and the comic Marie's Law, in which Marie proposes a law about how husbands should treat their wives. Besides the inevitable invention of some peripheral characters, the musical plays a bit fast and loose with some basic facts of LaGuardia's life. In fact, LaGuardia's first wife, Thea, died after only 3 years of marriage, but the fictional Thea lives another 8 years, so that her death can be one more calamity during LaGuardia's unsuccessful 1929 mayoral campaign. Also, the script downplays LaGuardia's generally successful congressional career to make him seem more of an outsider and increase the triumph of his eventual mayoral victory in 1933. Songs. An additional song, Where Do I Go From Here, was cut out of Town. It can be heard on the Liz Callaway album Lost in Boston. Till Tomorrow and Unfair were written on spec before Bach and Harnick were hired for the show. Little Tin Box was added on the road in Philadelphia. Critical response. In his review for the New York Times, Brooks Atkinson wrote, "It is exciting, it is enjoyable and it is decent. Jerry Bock has set a bouncy score. A.S. The writer of lyrics, Sheldon Harnick, is in an unfailingly humorous frame of mind. UNDER Mr. Abbott's invincible stage direction. The whole show comes alive with gusto. He cast could not be more winning or in better voice." Lewis Coulter wrote, "Fiorello is the town's latest stage hit." The attraction earned flowery praise from all of the New York drama critics. Original cast album. The original cast recording of Fiorello was made by Capitol Records on November 29, 1959, just 6 days after the show opened, and was released on December 14. The album debuted on Billboard's best-selling albums chart January 11, 1960, peaked at number 7 and remained on the charts for 89 weeks. It has been reissued on CD twice, first by Capitol and then later in a much improved release on EMI's Broadway Angel label. Awards and nominations.